This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, just a second. Okay, let's get started with the Kubernetes topic. Did you guys completed the task which I gave, like Docker CLI and daemon communication? Did anyone tried in configuring it?
I have done with the container communication.
No, no, no,
This
no, not like that.
CLI
Okay.
and then that installation I haven't tried. I tried it, but I haven't get that links and all those things. How to install Docker C in one machine and then CLI in another machine. I haven't get that links.
Okay. So actually, the package name is Docker, right? So Docker-C is the main package, daemon package
Docker
and all.
iPhone. Yeah.
So what you need to do, you need to install Docker package on one machine that is called as CLI. Okay,
CLI package name is Docker.
Docker. Okay. So what you need to do on the server side, Docker daemon side, where your Docker actual Docker is running. Okay, Docker engine is running. On that, we have a file called. Let me show. We have a file called /etc. I will show you here /etc. Okay, default. Okay, Docker. Okay, in this file, we need to modify one particular parameter. So let's say this is the file. Okay, how will you modify it? What are the parameters we need to modify? So open this file using the editor like /etc default. Let me show you in practice. Like, just I will show you one thing.
and I'm having one more doubt. So if I hello.
Yeah,
Yeah. If I pull the images from the Docker CLI, directly it will interact with the Docker Hub, right? So
yeah,
if
Docker.
I want to, if I want to customize that, if I want to, if I create the private repository, so
Mm-hmm.
how this Docker CLI interact with the private repository, where I have to change the configuration.
So first, what you need to do is like, first of all, you need to log in. Okay. So Docker Hub is in the sense, if you want to push the images and all, you will first log into the Docker Hub account, and then you will try to push the images. Okay. For downloading, by default, it will
Yeah.
download from the Docker Hub itself. So this is the general method which we have seen till now. Okay. So let's say you
Oh,
have your own repository. Okay, you're trying to push the images to your own repository. Then the image name should be given with your name slash the actual image name colon the tag name. So that is how it will identify your registry. You got it right?
yeah.
See, the image name should, let's say my registry account was starting with, let's say, okay, so it is starting with this. Okay, so and then my actual image name, let us say like Apache, let's say 2.3. So this is how we need to give. Okay.
Okay.
So then it will identify the user and then it will try to push your images. That's how it is done. And by default, it will search for the local repository. After that, if it is not available, then it will go to the Docker Hub account.
For example, if I if I install
I
the
think I have not shown you the
Nexus
registry thing,
repository.
right? Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Let me show you the practical thing also. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So here, let's say we have a configuration for, let's say, first of all, let identify how your Docker daemon is running. Okay. So ps hyphen eaf. Yes, I need to identify. Okay. If you look at this, your Docker is listening on your Unix socket. Unix socket in the sense internally it can communicate, but not externally. Okay. By default, Docker daemon, your Docker CLI is installed here and your Docker daemon is installed here. That's a reason both are able to communicate because it will use a Unix socket in order to communicate. Unix socket in the sense this one. Where- Okay, so this is the socket which it is using. Okay, socket in the sense, what is the difference between socket and protocols in the sense? Protocol in the sense you can communicate from outside where the packets will be transferred. Socket in the sense internally it can communicate. Let's say if someone is trying to communicate from outside, it will not allow because it is not listening on TCP protocols or UCP protocols, okay, or HTTP protocols. So it is listening only on Unix socket in the sense internally it can communicate. Okay, so that is called as Unix socket. So you by default your Docker daemon is running on the Unix socket. So now we need to modify it. So how will you modify it? Just open it. Here you can see this, right? Actually I have modified it. So you need to add this particular parameter. Okay, by default it will have only these two parameters and this line will be commented like this.
Okay. Docker
This line
underscore
actually it will be commented.
options.
Docker underscore
Okay.
options. Here we need to give hyphen capital H. Okay. And then here we need to have this particular parameter. Okay.
Okay.
After doing
TCP and
this, yeah, TCP in the sense it will listen on TCP protocol.
okay.
Okay. Colon double backslash 192.168.0.20 is my IP address of this server. Colon 2375 is the port number of the Docker daemon.
Okay.
Default port. Okay, once it is done, save this file. Okay, restart your Docker service. Okay, so restart your Docker daemon and after that your Docker will be able to listen to the, so it will be available in listening to that particular IP address and all. Okay, so from outside you can communicate. So what are the packages we have till now? Let's verify it. dpkg-well here. As of now, we have only docker-ce. So let's try to use apt-get install.
Sudham's like here you are able to see the service like once you installed everything, right? The Docker on this machine.
Of course.
So like it has CLI as well, right? So it
Yes,
combinedly.
by default it is.
Okay, so so like to do that, it will have CLI and it will have the daemon. Just like we are
Yes.
enabling the daemon and like do we disable the CLI or what we do?
No, we don't disable the CLI. So internally the CLI will be available. Okay. So now we are installing the additional CLI on the remote server, wherever you want to communicate. Okay. So you will install CLI. From the CLI, you will pass one parameter saying that -h and where to communicate, that particular URL. So then automatically it will try to fetch the details from that particular event. So this is what I just want to show you. So just open this file and try to add this particular parameter. Okay, so this is important. Docker options. So you can see the description they have given. Use docker underscore options to modify the daemon startup options. Okay, if you want your servers
This
to
IP
listen on a
address,
specific, this IP address
yeah,
is my server. See, you can see here.
yeah,
You can look at ENP0S3 192.168.0.20.
okay.
So
I
I
mean
am
to say
ensuring
this
that,
IP address must be the Docker engine IP, right?
yeah, Docker Engine IP address. Yeah, because
Okay,
someone
okay,
wants to
okay.
communicate to my server, so I need to
Yeah,
give
right.
the IP address which is reachable by everyone.
Yes, right. Yes, right.
In general, it is public IP or whatever it is. It depends, right? If it is internal organization, then you will give a private IP where
Yeah,
your organization can reach to that particular IP address. If you want to communicate from customers or someone, then you will give a public IP. It all depends upon the requirement.
okay.
Okay. So today let's start some brief description on this. So registry, right? So directly you have, I thought you will be finding in here. I thought you people will get from here itself. See, first we need to create a registry. So in this, we have inbuilt image called registry colon 2. It's a second version. Okay, once you create a registry, your registry will be running on a port number called 5000. Okay, first in order to do the experiment, what they are trying to do, first pull the Ubuntu image, convert that into your local host. So this is your local host. So where I gave my name is nothing but name of my Docker Hub account. Here localhost column 5000, in the sense my image, it is first trying to search for localhost with 5000 IP address. Okay, this particular host it is trying to reach, and after that it will upload this particular image. Okay, once it is done, once you need to push it. Okay, he is trying to rename the Ubuntu with this particular name, so he's trying to clone it. Once it is cloned, he's trying to push the image to the our repository. Once it is pushed, you can remove the main image like Ubuntu, and you can do the experiment. You can remove all the images which you have right now, and let us try to pull the same image which you have pushed into the repository. Then it will pull successfully. Okay, so this is the experiment they are trying to do. So you can try this. This is how we will maintain our local repository.
Okay.
Nothing much complicated. I thought you will find out in official document. Anyways, but this is the major thing. You can see at the left hand side the basic things which you need to follow while configuring registry. Okay, this is just simple experiment. Okay,
So the registry and repository are different.
same.
Okay.
Registry is called as entire repositories. Say repository in the sense every image is called as repository for few people. Okay, registry in the sense you are trying to register your image to that particular repository. Okay, repository, Docker Hub is called as repository where multiple people will involve in this. We have public images and private images, and for each and every image we'll create a registry. Okay, okay, for each and every image we'll create a repository. So registry in the sense you are maintaining your hub kind of thing in your local server. That's the reason it is called as a registry. In order to differentiate it, repository in the sense repository in the sense remotely maintained server. Registry in the sense you are trying to maintain on your local what do you say, local server itself internally.
Okay. So like this registry can be shared by multiple people.
This registry, yeah, what you need to do then, that registry need to be ensure that you need to create a registry to listen on that particular IP address 192.168.0.20 instead of localhost colon 5000. I hope you understood, right?
Yes.
You got it. So what we are trying to do, we are converting our base image into one particular clone. How we are trying to clone it? In order to communicate to the registry slash image name colon your tag. Instead of giving that registry localhost dot colon 5000, we need to give IP address colon 5000. Then everybody can communicate to this particular server registry. So that is the difference we have. You can do the experiments and just come up with the questions. Okay. So that I will connect remotely and we'll see what kind of issues you are facing. Okay. Okay. So let's talk something about Kubernetes. Okay. So Kubernetes was actually developed by Google, and after a few years they have given it to the CNCF community. Okay. So so internally Google has maintained this particular Kubernetes concept. Just a second. Okay. So Kubernetes has a lot of other things, like it can maintain the containers, okay, from the centralized location, and it has some concepts called pod authentications we have. Okay, in service we don't have authentication, right? Everybody who knows my server access, they can directly log into my server and they can do the experiments, right? If you cannot give a person to only to create a service, right? You directly need to give the server access, then he will log into the server and then he will create the services for us. Okay, and in Kubernetes it's not like that. For every user we can create a user. Okay, and that particular user can, we can give a limitation saying that he can do only particular things, like policy, saying that he can only do the pod related things, nothing else. Okay, so we can restrict the users who are trying to access our Kubernetes server. Okay, so similar to that we have a lot of other things. Let's come up with the architecture and then we will try to discuss the components which we have. Okay, in Kubernetes we are trying to take, in our experiment we are trying to take servers like, this is one server. Okay, and this is your second server, and this is your third server. So totally we are taking 3 servers in our experiment. Okay, and we are maintaining one router, which is my internal router. Okay, and these systems are connected to this particular router. I hope you got it. To be simple, all these cables, okay, VMs are connected to one particular router. Okay, so in VMs, I'm using host only. So this is called as my router, external router. Okay, so I have connected here. Okay, so let's say this is my master server, and this is my worker node, worker one, or which is also called as now minion, or now they are calling as node. Initially, in older versions of Kubernetes, they used to call minion. Minion 1, Minion 2, Minion 3. How we call in Docker Swarm, right? Worker node 1, worker node 2, and all. In Kubernetes, this is called as master, or it is called as controller. Okay. Minion is the old name, master is the old name. Now the latest name is, it is called as controller, and these are called as what? Nodes. Okay. Minion 1, let's say it is Minion 1, and here it is, let's say it's like minion. Okay, so now we have these many nodes. Okay, so master and minion 2 are connected to my router. Okay, so what I'm trying to use in my VM, so in my VM, let's say this is my whole what do you say, virtual box. The border which I'm drawing is my virtual box. Okay, so my all this particular 3 missions are connected to one virtual switch is called as, which is called as switch. Okay, that particular switch is called as, let me show you that. Let me show you the diagram, which is called as bridge. Okay, bridge network. Okay, so all the systems are connected to this bridge network interface, virtual switch, and this virtual switch will be connected to my router. Okay, so that's the reason I get one IP from this particular router itself, because my ISP provider cable has been connected to this particular router at my home, and one of the IP address I have given to my, so few IPs I have given to one, in few of the IP address, one IP address I have given to master, one IP address I have given to minion 1, and one IP address I have given to minion 2. Okay, so my router is having a series called, I'm telling you the network concept also. So my router is having a series called 192.168.0.0/24. So this is my CIDR value of my router. So from this, I'm allocating 192.168.0.20 to one server. So since it is connected to bridge, so directly you will get a one IP address from the router itself. So you can communicate to the Google like internet, and you can communicate from one machine to another machine. If you use NAT, you'll get internet connection, but you cannot communicate from one machine to another machine or from the physical server itself. So that is a problem with NAT. If you use host only adapter, then you don't get internet connection, but you can communicate from one server to another server. So that is a problem with the NAT and host only. If you want both the combination, then we need to use a bridge network in VirtualBox. But we need to ensure that there are enough amount of IP address free in the router which you're connecting, router or a LAN cable, whichever you use in order to communicate to the device, to this router. Either you will use a LAN cable, or either you will use Wi-Fi in order to open this particular bridge network. Okay, So the second IP which I use here is 192.168.0.21. Okay, and here 192.168.0 0.20 Okay, so this is the IP address which I will allocate to my systems. Okay, from this router. So this is the router, and router gateway will be 192.168.0.1 is the gateway. So that from that particular gateway, it will communicate to the ISP provider's IP address, public IP, and then it will translate the addresses. Okay, so this is how the communication will happen. This is the basic network which I try to configure, and I will show you that how to configure it. Okay, so this is the master, and this is the minion, and this is called as minion 2. Okay, so now what are the packages we will install on the master, and what are the packages we will install on the minion nodes? Okay, so in Kubernetes, this is called as master, where we will control all the things. No need to log into the minion nodes. Everything we will control from here itself, master. How we use Docker Swarm, right? From the master itself, we are trying to control all the missions. Similar to that, we are using a single platform in order to communicate to all the missions, which is called as cluster. And your Kubernetes is called as orchestration. Why it is called as orchestration, I will tell you later. Kubernetes is one of the orchestration tool for containerization. Okay, what is orchestration? Orchestration in the sense, whatever you want to do, you will write in a file. Okay, whether it is a JSON file or a YAML file. So Kubernetes will use two input files. One is either a JSON file or a YAML file. Okay, so you will write whatever you want to do in the YAML file or the JSON file, and that file will be given as an input to the Kubernetes. Okay, and Kubernetes will take the values which are present in the YAML file or JSON file, and then it will create a resource according to your inputs which are given in the YAML file. So this process is called as orchestration. Okay, writing something into a YAML file and giving that particular YAML file as an input to the tool, and tool will pick the values from that particular YAML file. This entire process is called as orchestration. Okay, so any doubts till the topics we have discussed right now, the concepts? Anything I just want to repeat, or is everything is fine?
So how we are setting up, like it's a minion or is it master?
Yeah, that is our responsibility. Like we need to see if you use only see how we are identifying a master and slave in the sense, whichever node you initiate first, that is called as master, right? So whichever node you add with the token is called as the slave node. Obviously, what we have done in the Docker Swarm, same thing we will follow here, but the command will change. The command there we are using Docker Swarm init, right? And here we use kubectl init. That is a major difference we have. That's it. So wherever you use a kubectl init, that is your master node, which will be bootstrapped. What is bootstrap node? Bootstrap node in the sense that is a main node which will be acting as a front end bootstrapper node. Like it will act as a master. Whatever the other nodes you will integrate to this particular master node. So that's the reason it is called as minion. Minion in the sense it is slave nodes. Okay, this is your master.
So Kubernetes cluster is the master.
Cluster in the sense grouping multiple servers together is called as cluster. The meaning of cluster is different. Grouping multiple servers, see these are like multiple server, right? This multiple server you are grouping together under one platform, that is called as cluster.
Okay.
Kubernetes is a cluster and it is an orchestration tool. What is orchestration tool? Which I told you. Like you will give the inputs, whatever you want to do, you will write in a YAML file or a JSON file according to the syntax, and that particular file you will give as an to the command in the sense kubectl command which you use. Okay, that command will take the file and it will pick the values from that particular YAML file or a JSON file, and then it will create a resource according to the things you have specified, one after the other. That is called as orchestration.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Are we gonna see the installation?
Yeah, of course. Just I'm trying to explain one after the other. So now let's see what are the components we'll install on the master node and what are the components we will install on the minion node. Okay, the main components which will be running on the master node is, let's try to explore. Okay, first one is Cube API. Okay, and the next one is, oh, something I need to go. Okay. So Cube hyphen control hyphen manager. This is one more tool, and another tool is Cube hyphen scheduler. Okay, and Docker will be installed by default. Of course, it is need to be present, and we have etcd. Okay, etcd server. Okay, and then so these are the components, and we need to have either Flannel or Calico, any other network overlay network. Okay, so these are the components which will be available in your something. I need to move or what? Oh shit, man. Okay. So these components will be installed on the master node. What is that? Cube hyphen API, Cube hyphen control hyphen manager, Cube hyphen scheduler, Docker, etcd, etcd server, Flannel or Calico overlay network. So these are the components which will be installed on the master node. Anyway, I will give the document to you. Okay, today I will share the document, so you can go through that particular document. It will explain the same. So these components will be installed on the master node. So what are the components that will be installed on the minion node? Let's see. Kubelet, okay, kube proxy, and then we have Docker, which will be running on the machines. Okay, so these components will be installed on both. Okay, so here as well as here, whenever I talk minion, whatever the you do on the one minion node, the same things need to be done on the, and the same tools will be available on the other minion node. Okay, so let's discuss. Sorry, not pods, it's a physical servers. You can see, that is what I'm saying. 3 servers in the sense what? Physical servers, or it can be a virtual machine.
What is pod?
Just like pod is different. I will tell you later. Let me come up with one after the other.
Okay.
Yeah. So here a Cube API, Cube Control Manager, Cube Scheduler, Docker, etcd server, Flannel or overlay network will be installed on this particular master server. And on the minion nodes, you will install Kubelet, Kube proxy, and Dockers need to be installed. Okay. So these components need to be installed on the respective servers. So this will be installed on all the minion nodes. And here we have only one master node. So we will be installing these particular components. Now, what is the responsibility of each and every component we have in the master node as well as minion node? So let us discuss on it. So Cube API is nothing but the API server which will accept the request. So whenever you do the commands, right, actually we use kubectl is a command which we use in order to create the resources. Resource in the sense it can be a pod, it can be a service, it can be an ingress controller, or it can be so many other things. Pod is one of the resource which we create using in Kubernetes. Okay, it's logical grouping of containers. Okay, so but kubectl is a command which we use in order to create the resource. So whenever you execute this command, how we execute a Docker command, right? Docker command is a CLI tool. Okay, that command is taking the input, whatever you pass after it, it is taking that inputs and it is giving, it is converting into JSON file, and the JSON file will be given to the Docker daemon, and Docker daemon will create a resource according to the inputs which you have given. That is a general thing which will happen in the Docker. Similar to that in Kubernetes, whenever you execute a kubectl command, whenever you pass the things in kubectl, that things will be passed to your Docker Kube API. Okay, so Kube API is the main API server which will take the inputs which is given by the kubectl command. Okay, so that API Okay, so Kube API will accept the requests. Either you pass from the dashboard. For Kubernetes, we have a dashboard, or from the CLI using kubectl command. From both the inputs, it will take the values, the Kube API server, and then it will give it to the Kube Control Manager. So what Kube Control Manager will do, it will ensure that all the nodes are integrated properly and all the nodes are reachable, and every node has proper services running in their respective missions. So that is a responsibility taken care by your Kube Control Manager. Kube Control Manager will ensure that all the nodes are integrated properly, okay, and all the services are running properly, up and running, and all the things are like health check is fine. Okay, so these things will be taken care by your control manager. And what Kube Scheduler will do? Okay, Kube Scheduler will take the responsibility. So what are the things you have given to the control manager? That control manager will see all the nodes are up and up or not. That things will be given to the scheduler. Okay, and scheduler will see which node is suitable for your inputs which you gave in order to create the resource. So Kube Scheduler will decide on which node we will launch the pod or like containers. Okay, let's talk about containers as of now. Okay, so what are the inputs you've given to the control manager? Control manager will give the inputs to the scheduler, both the values as well as the container mission state. Mission state in the sense which are nodes are up and those details. And Kube Scheduler will decide on which node you need to create this particular container automatically. Okay, so Kube Scheduler will take the decision of launching the container. Okay, so that is how it is done. What about Docker? Docker is the main component which need to be installed, obviously, on the master node itself, because few containers will be launched on the master node, that is respective to Kubernetes. Kubernetes, in order to install Kubernetes properly, Kubernetes itself has certain containers need to be running on the master and minion nodes. So in the master also we need to have certain containers, right? So how will you create containers on the master node? Once you have a Docker installed. Docker in the sense it is Docker daemon I'm talking about. Okay. Whenever I say CLI, it is just a CLI. That's it. Whenever I say Docker, it is Docker engine. Okay. So Docker need to be installed here so that it will create some containers. Okay. Now, so these things are clear, right? Okay. What is Kube API, Kube Control Manager, and Kube Scheduler, and Docker? What is etcd server? etcd server is a key value pair server which will store each and every server's their IP address, their domain name, and how many containers you have launched. Everything, the metadata information of the server will be saved in etcd server because it is a key value pair server. Similar to that, we have Zookeeper, one of the tool we have, and we have Cassandra. Okay, so similarly, we have certain tools which will do the same things, but etcd is recommended one for Kubernetes. Okay, so etcd server is one of the key value pair server which will store the metadata information of the servers. Okay, after that we have Flannel overlay network or Calico overlay network. Flannel is one of the tool which is used to create overlay network in Kubernetes. Okay, so that the pods which are launched here and here, it should communicate with each other. I'll tell you what is pod and all. So then I will try to explain this Flannel or Calico. Either you can use Calico network or we can use Flannel. Similar to that, we have other networks also, but our company is using Calico. But in our experiment, we are seeing Flannel network. Okay, that is the only difference we see. You can use any one of them. Okay, so this is the basic architecture. And what about Kubelet and kubeproxy and Docker components which are installed on the minion node? Kubelet is nothing but whenever you pass information to this, once the kube scheduler has decided on which node it will try to launch the container, that information will be passed to this particular node. Let's say kube scheduler has decided that on minion 1 it should launch the container, so that inputs will be given to the minion node. So who will take the inputs? The first component which will take the inputs from the kube scheduler is nothing but kubelet. Okay, only kubelet can talk to the Kube API server or master node. Okay, this particular node can communicate to the master only through kubelet. Okay, if kubelet is not installed, it cannot communicate to the master. Okay, and kubeproxy is nothing but it's a proxy server in order to allow the access to the containers from outside. By using port forwarding, you will try to give some particular port access, right? So that will happen only through kubeproxy. And obviously Docker need to be installed on this particular machines on all the mini nodes, because containers are actually launched on this particular nodes. Okay, so Docker need to be installed. To be simple, Docker need to be installed on all the machines. It is not about master or minion nodes. On all the nodes in the Kubernetes cluster, you need to install Docker first. Then you will decide which node will be a master and which node will be a minion nodes. Based on that, you will try to install the packages. Okay, so here we are trying to use Ubuntu servers, and this is the architecture of your Kubernetes. Is that clear? This particular components. I hope this architecture is clear. So let's start the installation process. So these are the three nodes which I have. I need to go to the network. So here you go. I'm using bridge adapter, and it is connected to Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi in the sense my Wi-Fi router. If it is a LAN, I should use LAN. Okay, but it is Wi-Fi. And go to the advanced settings. Give promiscuous mode as allow all. No need of second adapter, because this first adapter is connected to bridge adapter, so it will act as NAT as well as host only. Okay, so that is what I have done for 3 servers. Okay, so let me go back and restore the snapshot. So let's assume that I have installed Ubuntu 16.04 on all the machines, and what are the resource which I have taken is RAM. I have taken off 3 GB for master and 2 GB for minion nodes. Okay, and storage, you know already, I have took Ubuntu is installed on it, and network is nothing but bridge adapter which I am using. Okay, so this is all about the resource which I'm talking. But here I have taken third minion node as 2.5 GB RAM. Here I have taken 3.2 GB RAM, and here I have taken same 3.2 GB RAM. It all depends upon the resource you have. Since I have 16 GB of RAM, so that's the reason I have allocated like this. Okay, so let's start this missions and let us configure the Kubernetes cluster. Let's log into that. Have direct root access. So now these servers are loading. Okay, IP space A command. So you can see the network which is already configured, and host server is not updated with any details, so I need to update it. Okay, so what I need to do is like just update the host server. So what is my host name? So this is my host name, Kubernetes master. Okay, so I need to reach my server with Kubernetes. It is trying to ping, but if you look at the IP address which it is trying to ping, it is a different IP address, right? So it is not the actual IP address. It is 127.0.1.1. So I don't want to access my domain Kubernetes master with this particular IP address. I want to communicate with I want to establish a connection with this particular IP address 192.168.0.20. So then what I need to do? Go to the file, comment out this line and add 192.168.0.20, and then it is Kubernetes master. Okay, similarly add other nodes details also. 21, it is Kubernetes minion 1. Okay, and 192.168.0.22, it is Kubernetes is minion 2. Okay, so this is all done. Okay, just do an update because it is a fresh machine. Just do update. So it is not trying to communicate. So what we need to do? Just we need to add the host entry. Sorry guys, DNS. It's not DNS servers, it is now you can see it is communicating to the server because name server is missing in the server right now. Okay, so similar to that I need to do on all the servers. It is kube minion 1, so I need to change the host name. Sorry, I given a bit different host name. It is kube minion. Kube minion 1 and kube minion 2. You can see the IP address. It is 192.168.0.21. Okay, so now it should be DNS name service. Okay, now what I need to do? Yeah, host address. So I want to add all the 3 server entries here. Okay, Kubernetes master. Because I cloned it, you can see the same host name over there. This, go to the third server, second server, just do an update. Log into this server. Here also I forgot to give a proper DNS entry. So this comment out. That is master 192.168.0.21. It's cube minion 1. 192.168.0.22 is cube minion 2. Okay. Save and come out. Okay. Now, let's do an update. So you can see it is connected to the internet. So all the machines are set with the network, which I explained in the diagram. Okay. So it is configured with the same thing. Okay. So the host name is here, it is Kubernetes master, and here it is cube minion 1 and cube minion 2. How do we set up 3 VMs in our machines? How to set up in the sense, this is already explained, right? I told you. If you have 16 GB of RAM, then you can allocate 3 and 2. If you have only 8 GB of RAM, just allocate 2, and I think for just take only one master and one slave then. If you have 8 GB of RAM, 2, and then rest of the 4 GB need to be allocated to your physical machine. No, you should not create any other VM. So create 2 VMs. One is master and one is minion. That's it. How to create VMs, again, I cannot show you actually, because this experiment I have already shown you. How to create VMs with Ubuntu installed. Just what I have changed, only the network part. Even I'm showing you how to configure the IP address also here. You can see that. Okay. So these 3 missions are set right now, and I think we are running out of time. Okay. So now you can see I'm able to access from outside. If you want to see, just SSH root at 192.168.20. I'm able to access master server right now. Okay, so tomorrow we'll see how to install Kubernetes packages. Okay, so as of now we have just configured the servers with proper network and proper host entries. Okay, so if you don't have enough resources, that we cannot do anything, but try to do this experiment. If you have AWS account, just create instance over AWS, 2 servers. Okay, 2 instances with the 4 GB of RAM, and then install Ubuntu 16.04. Okay, okay, so let's connect tomorrow at 7:30, and just we'll start with the installation of Kubernetes, and then I will try to explain what is pod, what is other things. Okay, so we need to complete our task like till here, installation and completion. So just now we have configured the servers with this particular architecture. Now we need to install this particular packages, and this packages on the respective servers. So tomorrow we'll see it, how to do that particular experiment. Okay. Thank you guys. Tomorrow we'll meet at same time, and we'll continue with the installation.
Thank you.